At the end of the workday, John strolled through the city, taking in the serene autumn evening. Although the weather was starting to cool, it was still pleasant. The city was adorned with dark clouds, yet rain had yet to grace the streets. Glancing at the clock, John realized his wife would soon finish work and head to the kindergarten to pick up their daughter. However, it was Andre's responsibility to handle the task. The street had darkened, relying on the warm glow emanating from store windows and cafes. It was peculiar how one could observe the establishments from the outside, yet remain oblivious to the unfolding sights within. As John passed by a cafe, he stole a glance through the window and could hardly believe his eyes. Linda was seated at a table. Across from her sat a man, pouring red wine into their glasses. They enjoyed a light snack, with a freshly served dish indicating they had been there for quite some time. John called his wife's number and noticed that she picked up the phone. He observed her speaking to someone in the background before turning her attention towards the window. She answered the call with a cheerful greeting, acknowledging the caller as John. In the midst of the conversation, she mentioned an urgent report that would cause her to be late at work. She requested John's assistance in picking up their daughter, Patricia, from kindergarten that day. Curiously, John inquired about the nature of the emergency. She explained that the report pertained to the effectiveness of implementing new techniques, technologies, labor organization, as well as proposals for streamlining processes and inventing new solutions. John, being unfamiliar with the terminology, admitted his lack of understanding since he was an economist. Transitioning to a different topic, he asked his wife what he should prepare for Patricia's meal. He deliberately asked the question, knowing full well that it would be followed by detailed instructions on where the food was, how to heat it up, and how much to give his daughter. The instructions also included reminders to wash hands before feeding and to make sure his daughter did the same. Typically, these instructions lasted about 40 seconds. John continued to listen intently without distraction, reached the cafe, and approached their table. The man watched in bewilderment as John took his wife's filled glass and poured its contents over his head. The wine splashed out, staining his snow-white shirt bright red. The man jumped up, exclaiming, "What do you think you're doing?" Linda turned to the table and saw her husband, who calmly set down his glass and asked, "So what's up with the report on the effectiveness of implementing new techniques and technologies?" Linda replied, shocked, "John, you've got it all wrong. I'm going to explain it to you right now." "Oh my God, what have you done?" "Ryan, we need to clean this up now. Let's go to the sink." She firmly grasped the man's arm and guided him towards a secluded corner in the cafe designated for hand washing. Left alone, John noticed an unfamiliar cell phone resting on the table. Curiosity compelled him to pick it up, and to his surprise, the phone turned on. With a sense of urgency, he checked the recent calls and found one labeled wife. Without hesitation, John dialed the number, and someone promptly answered the call, demanding an explanation. "You said you were going to be late at work. I arrived, and you're nowhere to be found. Where have you been?" The voice on the other end was filled with frustration and concern. John's heart sank as he revealed the truth. "He's with my wife at the cafe across the street from the office. He's currently attempting to clean his shirt and presumably recover from the red wine I poured on him." The response was swift and confused. "Who is this?" John took a deep breath before responding, his voice laced with anger and hurt. "I am the husband of the company's chief economist, and it seems our spouses have been caught up in this cafe rendezvous. Furthermore, I was informed about an urgent report that needed immediate attention. My wife said she would be late due to work, but clearly that was not the case." Understanding dawned on the other end of the line. "I see. I am on my way to the cafe." As the woman with the phone entered the cafe, John swiftly moved towards the service door leading to the kitchen. The cafe patrons observed the scene with confusion, but refrained from interfering. Soon, a tense encounter ensued between Ryan and his wife. With no warning, she delivered a powerful punch to his jaw, causing him to collapse. Linda cried out in shock, questioning the motive behind this sudden act of violence. However, she too received a blow near her eye, resulting in her falling between the tables. In that moment, police officers rushed into the cafe. likely called by the bartender who had witnessed John pouring wine on a customer, anticipating a confrontation. Acting swiftly, John found himself an escape route and slipped out through the service exit. Sensing his urgency, the waitress discreetly signaled him towards the door leading outside. He made his way out and hurriedly went to the nearby daycare center to collect his daughter. Hailing a cab, he promptly drove to his sister Nancy's house, seeking refuge. Nancy, John's sister, lived alone in their parents' home. In a selfless act of selflessness, John gave up his share of the inheritance, giving the house entirely to his sister. Linda, John's wife, was unhappy with this decision, but did not argue or try to change his mind. However, this turn of events led to the aggravation of their relationship. Nancy was at home preparing dinner. Excitement was in the air as she greeted her brother and daughter. Patricia, their daughter, had a whole room full of toys and dolls in the house. As soon as she appeared, she happily ran to her special place. Meanwhile, John headed to the kitchen to tell his sister what had happened. Listening intently, Nancy asked, "John, what can I do for you?" John replied, "Nancy, could you provide temporary housing for Patricia and me? I'll find a new place and we can move." Nancy replied in surprise, "What do you mean move out? It's your house too, and it's big enough for everyone. Plus, we'll have more fun together. Are you hungry?" John refused, saying, "No, I'm not hungry. Please feed Patricia." Nancy happily agreed, "Great. I'll make her some semolina porridge. Maybe you can help?" John suggested, "No, go play with Patricia. Just be careful not to make a mess in her room." 30 minutes had passed when Nancy called everyone to supper. However, John didn't have an appetite and instead opted to drink tea with linden honey. He waited until Patricia finished eating before announcing, "I'm going to put my daughter to bed." Concerned for his well-being, Nancy intervened and suggested, "John, you should go to bed too. It seems like everything is slipping out of your grasp. Take some rest and we can talk in the morning." "There's no rush. It's Saturday." The next morning, John was abruptly awakened by the persistent ringing of the phone, which was coming from his jacket hanging on the chair. Fumbling to find the source of the sound, he finally answered with a groggy voice, "Hello." To his surprise, the caller responded, "I haven't finished dealing with you. What I told the police wasn't enough." Confused, John asked, "Who are you? And who are you talking about?" The mysterious caller replied, "Who am I? Just wait a moment." John wiped his eyes, bewildered as he looked at the unfamiliar phone display in his hands. It wasn't his phone at all. Suddenly, he realized that he had mistakenly taken the phone he had used to talk to the wife of the man he accidentally spilled wine on at the cafe yesterday. And now, it was her calling. "Excuse me." John quickly interrupted the call, feeling the need to explain. "It seems that yesterday, I was speaking to you and unintentionally grabbed your phone when I left the cafe." "Oh," the voice on the other end of the line exclaimed. "So you're Linda's husband?" "Yes, I am," John confirmed. Amidst the awkwardness, the caller continued, reminiscing on a recent incident. "You should have come to the police station with us. It turned out to be quite amusing." Linda threw a fit when she realized how her actions appeared to others. John couldn't help but feel a mix of disbelief and curiosity. Didn't she realize beforehand that cheating on her husband was wrong? The caller chuckled lightly before explaining, "Well, she didn't actually have the chance to cheat, and from what I understand, she had no intention of doing so. You see, I have someone closely monitoring my husband for certain reasons. It's been quite a busy week, but the latest report came in on Thursday. I must say your wife has been very cooperative. She has indeed developed a trustful relationship with my husband, who I appointed as the CEO." John's mind spun with questions, unsure of how to respond to this unexpected revelation. "And I suppose you believe I'm the one who started it all?" "Me? No way. The credit goes to my mother, who is 65 years old and has no plans of retiring. My husband used to work in the civil service with his own secretary, and unfortunately, he had an affair with her. When everything came to light, I gave him a warning. Once he recovered from his hospital stay, I helped him secure a new job. So technically, I'm not the founder, but I manage everything from home. My husband failed to realize that I have remote access to our office's computers, which allows me to monitor the activities of our employees. If I wanted to, I could have caught him in that cafe just 5 minutes later. But that's besides the point. After a week of hard work, my husband made the poor decision to invite your wife to the cafe, and she mistakenly thought it was just for coffee. My husband got carried away with excitement and momentarily forgot he was still being watched. What are your plans for him now? I will take action by terminating his employment and sending him away from town. I intend to go to the registry office on Monday to initiate divorce proceedings and send him back home. That might be a problem. The registry office is closed on Mondays. Oh, I see. In that case, we will have to go through with the divorce on Tuesday. What about my spouse? Is she aware and interested in the situation? I am not sure. I'm currently not at home. I collected my daughter and left. Ah, so that explains the commotion. She realized that she was losing both her husband and daughter. By the way, why did she bring that insignificant person to the cafe? She should have been begging for your forgiveness instead. Based on my estimation, she should be home by now. I am already home myself, and I was the last one to be dismissed. They let go of my husband first, followed by your wife an hour later, and then me. Linda, along with Ryan and his wife Karen, found themselves at the police station following a scandal that ensued at a cafe because of Linda's husband. The legal procedures progressed slowly, but once it was determined that the two women had no grievances against each other, they were placed together in a cell where they eventually formed a friendship. During their time together, Linda recounted the events that led them to the cafe, revealing that it was her husband's idea, who happened to be an elderly trapper. Hearing this, Karen sincerely apologized to Linda for her previous actions, acknowledging that there might be some bruising but expressing her desire to make amends. She also emphasized the importance of considering the potential consequences of going to cafes with other men, suggesting that Linda's husband might have a surprise waiting for her on the other side. While confined in the cell, the authorities repeatedly visited Linda's residence in an attempt to locate her husband, yet he always eluded them. Eventually, as the reality of the situation unfolded, they were released one by one. Despite the evident hooliganism, an unexpected calm settled in. During the proceedings, the interrogator sternly remarked, "Sort out your family problems at home, not in public spaces." Karen responded assertively, "At home, I'll definitely address this with my husband. He shouldn't tolerate such patronizing behavior towards his subordinates." As for Linda's husband, I understand him. If I were in his shoes, a bottle of wine on his foolish head would be in order. Perhaps even a little wake-up bump. My karate coach used to tell me, "Karen, all you need to neutralize someone is a slap on the palm of your hand." Observing the seemingly delicate Karen, Linda couldn't fathom the extent of her physical capabilities, given that Karen had only struck her with an open palm. The police, playing it safe, released Ryan first. Karen advised him, "Go, honey, head home. I'll join you soon, and we'll discuss everything." Linda returned home from the police station in the early hours of the third night to find her house shrouded in darkness. Moving quietly, she entered and discovered the absence of her husband and daughter's belongings in the hallway. They hadn't returned home. Presuming they might have spent the night at her husband's sister Nancy's house, Linda faced a dilemma: call Nancy now or wait until morning. Opting for the latter, she entered the bathroom and, scrutinizing her reflection, understood why the police had smirked. Covering up that bruise would be challenging. Scolding herself, she muttered, "Why did I go? I knew he was married, and the girls from the accounting department warned me about his flirtations. I thought a little wine would teach him a lesson and help me relax. Well, it did. Now I need to salvage the marriage, if it's still salvageable. But how? Nancy couldn't offer any help. I love my husband, and leaving him is out of the question, especially when it comes to our daughter. It would drive me mad." Having showered away the remnants of the previous night, Linda, tears still streaming down her face, retreated to her bed. The morning presented no revelations for her. John remained unresponsive on the phone. After contemplating her next move, she decisively dialed Nancy's number. Nancy picked up, and Linda greeted her from a distance. "Nancy, good morning." How are things going? Nancy inquired. You mean John and Patricia? Yes, Nancy, I mean them. They're fine. John's still asleep, and Patricia and I are making him breakfast. Now tell me, what did you do last night? Linda explained. John misunderstood, but it was my fault too. I should have told him I went to the cafe with the director to celebrate the report. Instead, I said I was still working. I glanced away, and he caught me pouring wine from my glass. Then the CEO's wife walked in, slapped her husband and me. That's when the police arrived. Now I have a black eye that makeup can't hide. Nancy asked John to call me back when he wakes up. I want to apologize to him and to my daughter too. I will, Nancy assured. As Linda ended the call, her cell phone rang. John spoke with Karen, dressed quickly, and headed to the kitchen where Nancy and his daughter were busy making pancakes. Nancy was at the stove, flipping pancakes, and Patricia, already adorned with a smear of sour cream on her nose, was happily devouring them. When John entered, Nancy informed him, "Sit down at the table, next to Patricia. Eat while the pancakes are hot. And by the way, Linda called, asked you to call her back." John inquired, "What else did she want?" Nancy replied, "She's crying, apologizing. What was going through her mind yesterday when she was deceiving me about the report? She's crying now. Was she smiling while she was sitting with that guy? Is there something wrong with me? Just be honest. I deserve to know. So what are you thinking?" "I haven't formed any thoughts yet. Since you're not pushing me away, we can continue living together in your place. We'll figure things out there. That might not be a wise decision. Remember, Patricia is not just your daughter. If we separate, she will stay with her mother. We are not getting a divorce. Not yet, but she should not be going out with men, especially her superiors. With her education, she should engage her mind and understand the importance of family. John, do what you believe is right, but call Linda back." John finished his pancakes, went to his room, and dialed Linda's number. She answered promptly. "John, I apologize for my foolish behavior yesterday. I should have declined the invitation to the cafe, but I accepted it. And I lied to you about working on my report. I can see you've realized your mistake overnight. Come over to your sister's place, and we can talk things through." "John, I can't. I have a bruise on my face that's hard to hide. There's nothing I can do about it. Suit yourself. Fine, I'll come right away." "No, not today or tomorrow. I'm not ready to meet you yet." "John, I really want to see Patricia," Linda begged. "And scare her with your bruise," replied John. "Are you trying to scare me on purpose?" asked Linda, getting upset. "I haven't made a decision about us yet. You were going to cheat on me, and only an accident prevented it. Emotionally, I feel like you've been cheating on me ever since you accepted the invitation. And when you ran to wash a shirt for your boyfriend, you didn't even think about me. I'll see you on Tuesday, and then we'll see how things are," Linda stated firmly. "But Patricia will need clean clothes for kindergarten." "I'll get her some," John offered. "Bring it, but we won't talk," I replied coldly. The next morning, Linda woke up early and decided to go to work on Ryan's day off. She carefully covered the bruise with foundation, trying to conceal it. When she arrived at the office, she quietly slipped into her office and called her secretary. "Jennifer, in your office?" asked Linda. "Oh, Linda, I'm so glad you're here. Let's quickly go to the principal's office," Jennifer replied. "Who is it?" asked Linda curiously. "No one," replied Jennifer. Linda found herself in the principal's office, only to discover Karen as the sole occupant. The absence of anyone else took Linda by surprise, and she greeted Karen with a reserved tone. "Hello, Karen. Why the formality? And what's with the face? You're hiding your beauty under all that makeup. I tried my best, and yet you're still under a layer of it. Anyway, take a seat." As Linda lowered herself into the chair, Karen, engrossed in the papers on the desk, continued. "Take a look at your report and explain these numbers to me. Where did the profit disappear?" Perusing the document, Linda noticed discrepancies and protested. "But these figures weren't here before. It seems the report sheet has been replaced. Look for yourself. And my signature is missing. I sign every sheet. I have no idea where the money went. I can only verify the amount. Only the chief accountant knows about the finances. That's fine. Jennifer, fetch the chief accountant. Sandra? Yes. 5 minutes later, Sandra entered the office, greeted by an immediate inquiry. Sandra, where has this amount of money disappeared from the company's accounts? Karen pointed out the sum Linda had withdrawn, prompting Sandra to inquire, "Excuse me, who are you?" "I'm the wife of the CEO and the daughter of the company's founder. I act under a power of attorney granted by my mom to handle all matters within her purview as outlined in the statute. In other words, I make decisions here, including your future employment." "I'm sorry, I didn't know." "Well, now you do. Should I schedule an audit?" No. I was just verifying. As for the money, it was supposed to be wired today to where your husband, Ryan, indicated. Okay, got it. The money's whereabouts are unclear, and its origin needs to be explained. However, only Ryan has that information. It seems someone transferred the money to us, but we're unsure why. There should have been a money order to provide more details. We need to investigate and find out. Also, starting today, Ryan no longer works here. Linda has been appointed acting CEO, and she's currently handling the necessary paperwork. Are you following? Yes, I understand. Linda, please focus on your responsibilities and assume control of this office. You have a lot of work ahead of you. Jennifer, please contact the Deputy General Manager and the Chief Engineer. I need them here in 5 minutes. Soon, Vladislav and Vladimir entered the office, showing curiosity towards Karen and Linda. After a brief pause, Karen pointed at the report and asked, "Can either of you explain this amount? Where did it come from, and where should it have gone?" Yes, but Ryan was the one who came up with the idea. The funds were essentially fabricated. A budget-funded archives department allocated money for a major renovation, but they couldn't utilize it. We created completion certificates, and the money was transferred to us, with the intention of it going to a firm that Ryan had set up as a subcontractor. He would then cash the certificates and promise to give us a generous bonus. Off the books, of course. So you essentially embezzled from the budget? No, not exactly. So are you going to face legal consequences? Absolutely not, Karen. Who signed the certificates? The representative of the subcontractor signed them on our behalf. Do you know who this representative is? I don't know. I never saw them. I only communicated with Ryan during the contracting process. Linda, I have 2 open positions: Deputy General Director and Chief Engineer. Let's start the search for new candidates as soon as possible. It seems like we can't rely on the current individuals holding these roles. I will return the money to the budget and provide the necessary materials to the investigative authorities. Linda, don't worry about the consequences. If I hadn't discovered this, my mom and I would have ended up in jail. Vladimir and Vladislav, I'm sorry, but you are both dismissed. Once they left, Karen addressed Linda, explaining the true reason for the meeting at the cafe. Do you now understand why he brought you there? First, to manipulate you and then to involve you in covering up his fraudulent activities. I suspect the chief accountant might be involved as well. By keeping quiet, you unknowingly became an accomplice. But you mustn't worry, we'll solve this issue. Karen will handle the financials, while you focus on your responsibilities based on the company's charter and the new contract. You are a valuable employee, Linda. Linda hesitated, feeling overwhelmed by the sudden changes. I haven't received a contract yet, and this is all happening so fast. Besides, I have to deal with my husband. Concerned, Karen asked, "What's going on with your husband? Is he not coming home?" Distressed, Linda replied, "No, he's not." Karen advised, "Linda, honesty is important. Your husband is a decent person. Give me his number, and I'll reach out to him on your behalf." Linda handed Ryan her husband's cell phone, and she proceeded to dial the number. John picked up on the other end and said, "I'm listening." Ryan replied, "I'm listening to you. Why are you planning to divorce your wife?" Confused, John asked, "Ryan, how did you get my number?" Ryan replied confidently, "Well, as the founder of the company, I have access to various resources. But let's focus on the question at hand. Why are you divorcing Linda? John hesitated and responded, "Honestly, I was feeling overwhelmed last night, but I don't know about Linda's intentions." Frustrated, Ryan retorted, "Why should I believe you? You're not being truthful." Ryan continued with a revelation. "You desired Linda, didn't you? That's why you tried to cover up your office scams. But thanks to my interference, your plan was disrupted. So if I hadn't stepped in, would she be covering for his scams? Not precisely. Why did I visit the office last night? Not just to catch him with someone. I noticed in the report that the numbers didn't add up, so I intended to discuss it with him. Unfortunately, I was too late. They had already gone to the cafeteria. Linda showed me the numbers today, mentioning it was the first time she'd seen such discrepancies. The first and last pages had been replaced, and her signature was missing. Regardless, I appointed her as CEO. Why am I calling you? Reconcile with her, CEO. Then maybe you should consider returning at all. Considering who I am and who she has become, I'm no match for her. Don't be absurd. I'm not talking nonsense. It seems you're holding a grudge. Look, why not stop pretending and just discuss it with your wife? A relationship shouldn't end due to a misunderstanding. What happened to your man? I didn't kick him out. He vanished after the police released him. I eagerly await his return. It's not about cheating. He decided to steal from me and flee. He had cheated on me before, then went to rehab. At the VD, in surgery. I thought I had completely cured him, so this isn't his first misstep. What should I tell your wife? Nothing. I'm sorry, I'm at work. I don't have time to talk right now. All right, let's meet tonight and discuss. Where and when? At the cafe where we hung out on Friday. Actually, we can. I didn't thank the waitress there. But I have a daughter. How old is your daughter? She'll be 5 soon. She's a big girl. You mean she's allowed to go to cafes? Absolutely. But you'll be taking this one along, complete with a black eye. I'm not bringing her. I'm bringing her. I informed her that we shouldn't communicate until Tuesday. I'm not prepared. So you'll be meeting her tomorrow? Unless there are alternative plans. I'm meeting her tomorrow at the cafe after work. And you acting as a global mediator. Better than a global mediator. The following day, John encountered Nancy outside the daycare center. He handed the baby to her sister and explained, "Nancy, I hate to bother you, but I can't take Patricia to the cafe. What if we end up having a fight? What do you need?" Now I'm unsure. When she was just an economist, I could tolerate it and was willing to forgive her. But now she's a CEO. At work, she may be a CEO, but at home, she's your wife. Except she moves in completely different social circles. Don't play mind games with me. You also have a college degree that you're concealing. True, I have a higher salary and less responsibility. The pay was higher once. Now the significance of competent engineering workers is recognized, so you just need to reveal your degree. All right, I'll take care of Patricia. I'll prepare her for daycare tomorrow. You go and reconcile with your wife. John arrived at the cafe half an hour early, ordered 200 grams of cognac and some food. The waitress recognized him and discreetly asked, "Are you not pouring wine on anyone today?" I didn't plan to, although the evening is just beginning. Linda and Larissa entered the cafe at the scheduled time. After scanning the surroundings, they approached the table where John was seated. Linda asked, "Where is Patricia?" "Well, I'm not bringing her to the cafe for a showdown between us, if that's what you're thinking. I wanted to see her. I missed her." "No, you didn't. I sent her home. Alone? I'm not like you, and I took care of the baby." Karen stepped into the conversation with a firm tone, addressing both parties involved. "Enough, both of you. What's the point of all this commotion?" "Linda, give me your side of the story." Linda began recounting the events, explaining how she and Ryan went to a cafe after work. As she spoke about her decision to ask Karen to pick up her daughter and the subsequent confusion, Karen listened attentively. Larissa then interjected, clarifying that her confrontation with Linda wasn't about her involvement with Ryan, but rather suspicions about the report's authenticity. She detailed the discovery of edits in the report and the evidence she found in the CEO's office trash. Karen, absorbing the information, sought clarification from Linda. So what's your response to these edits in the report? Larissa found replaced sheets in the trash. What do you have to say for yourself? Linda, now under scrutiny, responded with a mixture of regret and justification. I admit I was wrong to deceive you, Karen. It wasn't about celebrating anything nefarious. I was confused, and the situation got out of hand. Ryan and I did go to the cafe, but the edits in the report weren't meant to harm anyone. It was a mistake on my part. And as for Larissa hitting me, I was already disoriented by the situation. Ryan, feeling the need to explain his perspective, chimed in. I found her in the cafe and called to check on the report. What else was I supposed to do? The air thickened with tension as Karen assessed the conflicting accounts, attempting to unravel the complexities of the situation. We've uncovered the truth, and as adults, we understand there was no cheating, flirting, or affair. The only thing that lingers is Linda's deception. We acknowledge that if she had been honest, none of this would have transpired. I still would have confronted Ryan, but Linda would have also faced consequences. You may be wondering why you can't do the same. I meant that if Linda hadn't deceived you, your actions would have been justified. But the truth is, there was no cheating involved. Linda's deliberate deception raises serious trust issues for me, especially considering her new role as general director. This position entails interactions with various individuals, including men, for resolving supply and sales matters. There will be seminars, retraining, and business trips that seem unnecessary. I simply want my wife by my side at home. John, I understand your concerns and reservations. However, all these seminars and retraining sessions can take place within our city, eliminating the need for travel. Suppliers and buyers who want to collaborate with us can come to our location for inquiries. Furthermore, I believe Linda loves you, and after experiencing your jealousy, it's unlikely that she would engage in cheating or deceit. There is one more thing I'd like to propose. Join our company as the Deputy General Manager or Chief Engineer. You may be concerned about our familial connection, but the law doesn't prohibit close relatives from working together in a commercial organization, even if one is in a subordinate role to the other. How do you know I could be the chief engineer? Linda has no idea. Well, I did some research. I found out that you were the deputy chief engineer of a major company. Unfortunately, there was an accident which led to fatalities, and you were unfairly blamed for it. From what I gathered, you were actually being groomed for the position of chief engineer. You tried to fight back, but they threatened you with jail time. So instead, they banned you for 5 years. That was a long time ago. The truth is, there was no clear culprit. The accident occurred due to wear and tear on the process equipment. The chief engineer and I both insisted on halting production, but our concerns were ignored. The chief engineer ended up in the hospital due to his heart condition, and I had to step in and perform his duties when the accident occurred. Why didn't you tell me all this before? Why? I didn't want you to feel threatened, and you already had enough to worry about. I had no idea you had such knowledge about manufacturing. But that's not the only thing I want to say. What is it then? It's what I already mentioned to you. I'm sorry for deceiving you, and I promise I won't do it again. I'm asking you to come back home. If you accept Karen's offer, I'd love to work with you. If it means I have to leave my job for you to come back with Patricia, I'm willing to make that sacrifice. No, wait. I don't want you to make that kind of sacrifice for me. I need someone to lean on at the company. So John, please take my offer. Quit your old job and accept any of the positions they're offering today. And Linda, please don't even consider quitting. You owe me that much. What do you mean? Who was the person that stole my husband and went drinking with him in that cafe? Karen, he invited me. I don't know about that, but that's actually why I'm divorcing my husband. Karen, you're divorcing him because he's stealing from you. That too. Epilogue. John and his daughter arrived back at their home, where Linda eagerly awaited their return. True to his word, John had accepted the position of chief engineer at work. According to the terms of his contract, he now reported directly to the company's founder. Meanwhile, Linda continued to hold the CEO position, determined to cultivate honesty in her relationship with her husband. With great difficulty, Karen enlisted the help of her brother to locate Ryan and bring him to the registry office so they could file for divorce. Once that was done, Ryan mysteriously vanished once again, leaving Karen to finally move forward with her life. Though their journey had been tumultuous, John and Linda were grateful for the lessons they had learned. They'd rebuilt their trust, focusing on open communication and sincerity in their marriage. As a family, they cherished their newfound commitment to honesty, understanding the importance of trust in their bond. Life moves on, and while challenges may arise, John, Linda, and their daughter took comfort in knowing that they had come out stronger on the other side. With love as their foundation, they face each day with renewed hope and gratitude, ready to embrace whatever the future had in store for them.